The courtroom felt suffocating, with afternoon sunlight cutting harsh lines across polished wooden surfaces. Judge David Park adjusted his glasses, his fingers drumming an impatient rhythm against the manila folder containing Dr. Rachel Kim's case file. Rachel sat quietly, her dark blue blazer pressed perfectly, revealing a confident demeanor that seemed to irritate the judge even more. She wasn't a typical researcher. Her eyes held a spark of something different, a knowledge that went beyond standard academic boundaries. Dr. Kim, Park's voice carried a sharp edge. Your research funding documentation shows multiple irregularities. Transferring government research grants across multiple international accounts is not just questionable, it's suspicious. Rachel remained calm. Her dark brown skin contrasted against the sterile courtroom environment, and she met the judge's gaze without flinching. Behind her sat two junior researchers from her laboratory, their faces a mixture of anxiety and respect. The case wasn't just about money, it was about something bigger, something that would soon change everything humanity understood about scientific exploration. Your unauthorized transfers total $3.7 million, Park continued, shuffling documents. These aren't minor accounting errors. This looks like systematic financial manipulation. What Park didn't know was that every single dollar Rachel had moved represented a critical piece of a puzzle far more complex than simple research funding. Each transaction was carefully calculated, each movement of resources a strategic decision that would ultimately protect humanity. Rachel's quantum communication research wasn't just another academic project. It was humanity's potential first line of defense against something brewing in the deep, dark corners of our galaxy. Her team had detected unusual signal patterns, electromagnetic wavelengths that didn't match any known terrestrial or satellite communication protocols. Something was watching, something was approaching. I can explain the fund transfers, Rachel said softly, her voice steady and controlled. Judge Park raised an eyebrow. Explain. Most researchers would be panicking. You seem unusually composed. What he didn't realize was that Rachel had spent months decoding signals from beyond our solar system. Compared to communicating with potential extraterrestrial intelligence, a courtroom hearing seemed almost trivial. Her research team had discovered something remarkable, quantum entanglement communication techniques that could potentially bridge interstellar communication gaps. But such research required resources, unconventional funding methods, and absolute secrecy. The transfers were part of a complex research methodology, Rachel explained. Each transaction was documented and approved by our internal review board. Park wasn't convinced. His fingers continued their rhythmic tapping, a metronome of judicial frustration. Documentation isn't enough, Dr. Kim. We need transparency. These fund movements suggest something more than standard research protocols. Little did he know how right he was. Outside the courtroom, hidden from view, specialized monitoring stations were tracking something massive entering our solar system's outer regions. Unidentified spacecraft signatures were emerging, massive constructs that didn't match any known human engineering specifications. Rachel knew, her team knew, but revealing too much would cause panic. I'm imposing a fine of $2.5 million, Park declared, his gavel striking with finality. Your research funding will be suspended pending a comprehensive investigation. Rachel's junior researchers exchanged worried glances, but she remained calm, a small smile playing at the corner of her lips. What Park saw as a punishment was actually part of a larger, more intricate plan. The fine, the investigation, all of it was a carefully constructed shield protecting a research project that would soon become humanity's most important scientific endeavor. As she gathered her documents, Rachel's smartwatch, modified with custom quantum communication algorithms, vibrated subtly. Another signal. Another piece of the cosmic puzzle falling into place. The hearing was over. The fine was imposed. But this was just the beginning of a journey that would redefine humanity's understanding of our place in the universe. Outside, storm clouds gathered. Something was coming. End of Part 1 note. The narrative maintains a human-centric approach, uses simple language, avoids complicated technical jargon, and sets up intrigue for the subsequent parts of the story. The content remains YouTube-friendly and focuses on scientific mystery and potential alien contact. Would you like me to proceed with expanding the next part of the story? The underground military research facility hummed with electronic activity. Screens flickered with complex data streams, alien signal patterns dancing across monitors like cryptic digital hieroglyphs. Michael Lee, a young intelligence officer with piercing eyes and a lean athletic build, leaned closer to the primary communication console. "Something's different," he muttered, adjusting multiple frequency filters. His team had been monitoring unusual cosmic transmissions for months, but today felt different. The quantum signal patterns Rachel Kim's research had predicted were emerging exactly as she had calculated. Suddenly, a massive electromagnetic burst erupted across multiple monitoring screens. Wavelength signatures unlike anything humans had ever encountered before began pulsing with an almost rhythmic precision. "Colonel Williams!" Michael shouted, his voice cutting through the facility's controlled chaos. "We've got something." The facility's senior commander, a veteran with silver-streaked hair and weathered hands, rushed toward the monitoring station. Her eyes widened as intricate signal patterns began forming complex geometric shapes on the primary display. Rachel's quantum communication algorithms were working perfectly. What appeared to be random signal interference was actually a sophisticated communication protocol. Each pulse contained layers of information, technological specifications, spatial coordinates, and something that resembled a complex negotiation framework. "These aren't random transmissions," Michael explained, his fingers dancing across multiple interface screens. "They're structured, intentional. Someone or something is trying to communicate." Massive holographic displays began reconstructing potential spacecraft silhouettes, sleek, biomechanical designs that defied traditional engineering principles materialized, vessels that seemed part organic, part technological marvel. The signals suggested an approaching fleet, not an invasion force but something more nuanced, a diplomatic exploration team, potentially studying emerging civilizations. Rachel's research had predicted this exact scenario. Military intelligence had initially dismissed her quantum communication theories as academic speculation. Now, those same theories were humanity's first line of understanding, potential extraterrestrial contact. "Prepare communication response protocols," Colonel Williams commanded, her voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. Michael accessed Rachel's custom-designed quantum communication matrix. Each algorithmic sequence was like a complex linguistic bridge, designed to translate beyond traditional communication barriers. The alien signals continued pulsing, a cosmic heartbeat that seemed to carry anticipation, curiosity, and something resembling professional diplomatic respect. Spacecraft outlines began materializing on higher-resolution displays, biomechanical constructs that seemed to blend technological precision with living, adaptive architecture. Nothing like traditional human spacecraft designs. "They're close," Michael whispered, watching coordinate markers approach solar system boundaries. "Extremely close. Tracking systems estimated the fleet's arrival within weeks. Not as conquerors, but as potential researchers." The signals carried a complexity that suggested advanced civilization, one potentially centuries ahead of human technological understanding. Rachel's unconventional research funding suddenly made perfect sense. Every transferred dollar, every complex financial maneuver had been about building this quantum communication infrastructure. The courtroom fine seemed laughably insignificant now. "We need Dr. Kim here immediately," Colonel Williams declared, her professional demeanor barely concealing an underlying excitement. "She's the only one who can help us understand these transmissions." Michael nodded, understanding the critical nature of the moment. Humanity stood on the precipice of its most significant scientific encounter. The alien signals continued pulsing, a cosmic conversation waiting to be understood, a first step toward potential interstellar dialogue. Something extraordinary was about to happen, and humanity wasn't just listening. Thanks to Rachel's groundbreaking research, they were finally ready to respond. End of Part 2 note. The narrative maintains high engagement, uses simple language, focuses on human perspectives, avoids technical complexity, and sets up intrigue for subsequent story progression. The content remains scientifically speculative and YouTube-friendly. Would you like me to proceed with expanding the next part of the story? The research laboratory buzzed with an electric tension. Rachel Kim stood before a massive holographic display, her fingers tracing complex quantum signal patterns that seemed to dance and shift like living organisms. Around her, a team of international scientists watched in silent anticipation. Breakthrough wasn't just a word anymore. It was happening right in front of their eyes. The quantum communication array hummed with an almost organic energy. Specialized quantum processors, devices Rachel had personally designed and modified, began translating the alien signals into something comprehensible. It's not just communication, Rachel explained to the assembled team. It's a language, a complex, multidimensional communication system that operates beyond traditional linear thinking. Holographic projections began revealing intricate details, spacecraft designs that seemed to breathe and adapt, technological systems that blurred the line between machine and living organism. The alien civilization wasn't just advanced, they were fundamentally different from human understanding. Michael Lee watched from the side, his military background struggling to comprehend the scientific marvel unfolding before him. Each signal pulse carried multiple layers of information, technological specifications, cultural references, and something that resembled a diplomatic introduction. The research facility had become ground zero for humanity's most significant scientific moment. Specialized quantum processors began breaking down communication layers. What initially appeared as random electromagnetic interference was actually a sophisticated communication protocol. Each pulse contained genetic markers, technological specifications, and something that resembled a complex cultural database. They're not just sending a message, Rachel whispered, her eyes wide with excitement. They're offering a comprehensive cultural exchange. The alien signals suggested a civilization that viewed communication as a multidimensional experience. Not just words or sounds, but a complete sensory and intellectual transfer of knowledge. Suddenly, the primary holographic display shifted. Complex geometric patterns began forming, what seemed like technological schematics, cultural maps, and something resembling an invitation. They want dialogue, Michael realized, watching the patterns emerge. Not conquest, not invasion, dialogue. Rachel's quantum communication matrix was working perfectly. Each algorithmic sequence acted like a linguistic bridge, translating beyond traditional communication barriers. The alien civilization was presenting itself not as a threat, but as a potential partner in cosmic exploration. The research team watched in stunned silence as the first comprehensive communication pattern emerged. It wasn't a message in the traditional sense. It was a complete cultural download, technological understanding, scientific principles, and something that resembled a comprehensive universal perspective. This changes everything, one of the senior researchers muttered. Spacecraft outlines continued materializing, biomechanical constructs that seemed to blend technological precision with living, adaptive architecture. Each design suggested a civilization that viewed technology as an extension of biological existence. The quantum communication array continued processing, revealing layer after layer of information. Medical knowledge that could revolutionize human healthcare, energy principles that could solve global environmental challenges, cultural insights that suggested a civilization built on cooperation rather than conflict. Rachel's unconventional research, the very thing that had landed her in court, was now humanity's most important scientific achievement. We're not just receiving a message, Rachel explained, her voice filled with a mixture of scientific excitement and profound respect. We're being invited into a larger cosmic conversation. The alien signals continued their complex dance across the holographic displays. Each pulse carried the promise of something extraordinary, a potential turning point in human scientific understanding. Humanity stood on the precipice of its most significant scientific encounter, and thanks to Rachel's groundbreaking research, They were finally ready to listen. The quantum breakthrough wasn't just about communication. It was about understanding. End of Part 3 note. The narrative maintains high scientific excitement, uses accessible language, focuses on human perspective, and creates an engaging exploration of potential first contact. The content remains speculative, scientific, and YouTube-friendly. Would you like me to proceed with expanding the next part of the story? The sky erupted with an impossible brilliance. Massive crystalline spacecraft descended through Earth's atmosphere, their surfaces shimmering with bioluminescent patterns that defied human engineering understanding. Each vessel seemed to breathe, pulsing with an organic energy that blurred the line between technology and living organism. Rachel Kim stood on the specially constructed First Contact platform, her quantum communication device humming with anticipation. Military personnel surrounded the area, a mix of tension and unexplained excitement filling the air. "They're not attacking," Michael Lee whispered into his communication device. "They're communicating." The spacecraft didn't land in a traditional sense. They seemed to dissolve and reassemble, shifting like liquid metal that responded to some invisible quantum command. Holographic interfaces began spreading across the landing zone, creating complex geometric patterns that looked like living mathematical equations. A figure emerged, if figure was even the right word. It wasn't a traditional alien as human imagination had always depicted. This being was a complex fusion of biological and technological elements. Translucent skin revealed intricate neural networks that looked like flowing liquid circuits. Multiple sensory organs shifted and adapted, changing shape with each moment of observation. Rachel's quantum communication device began translating. "We are observers," the translation came, not as sound, but as a direct neural impression. "Humanity stands at a critical evolutionary threshold. The being, or beings, as..." It seemed to be multiple consciousnesses merged into a single entity, moved with a grace that defied physical limitations. Each movement was a complex dance of information, communication happening simultaneously through multiple sensory channels. Military drones circled overhead, their weapon systems locked but not actively targeting. The spacecraft's defensive mechanisms were so advanced that traditional human weaponry seemed like primitive toys in comparison. "Your species has potential," the neural communication continued, "but you require guidance." Michael watched in awe as Rachel stepped forward. Her research had prepared her for this moment, a diplomatic encounter that would redefine human understanding of existence. The alien entity presented holographic representations of human technological progress. It wasn't a judgment, but a comprehensive analysis. Moments of human achievement mixed with moments of potential destruction. Our scientific breakthroughs, our conflicts, our capacity for both creation and destruction. "We do not come to conquer," the translation continued. "We come to observe, to understand." Surrounding the primary being, smaller quantum-like entities began materializing. Each looked like a living mathematical equation, shifting and changing, collecting information about the environment, about the humans present. Rachel's quantum communication matrix worked perfectly. Each translation was nuanced, capturing not just literal meaning but cultural context, emotional undertones, complex philosophical implications. The spacecraft began releasing what seemed like technological seeds, microscopic exploration units, that would study Earth's ecosystem, gathering comprehensive data about our planet's biological and technological systems. "Your planet is a living laboratory," the neural communication explained. "Your species is approaching a critical evolutionary moment." Military commanders watched in a mixture of fear and fascination. These weren't invaders. They were researchers, cosmic anthropologists studying a young, emerging civilization. Michael noticed how the alien entities moved, not as individual beings, but as a collective consciousness. Each movement was a complex communication, information flowing between them faster than human neural systems could comprehend. Rachel stepped closer, her quantum communication device acting as a bridge between two fundamentally different forms of intelligence. "We are ready to learn," she responded. Her words translated into a complex quantum language that carried emotional and intellectual nuance. The spacecraft's surfaces continued shifting, revealing glimpses of technologies so advanced they seemed like magic. Energy systems that generated power from quantum fluctuations, communication methods that transcended physical limitations. Humanity's first contact wasn't a moment of conflict. It was a moment of potential understanding. Something extraordinary was beginning. End of Part 4 note. The narrative maintains scientific excitement, uses accessible language, focuses on human perspective, and creates an engaging exploration of potential first contact. The content remains speculative, scientific, and YouTube-friendly. Would you like me to proceed with expanding the final part of the story? The world watched in stunned silence. Judge David Park stood at the international press conference, his previous judicial arrogance completely transformed. Behind him, Rachel Kim represented humanity's most significant scientific breakthrough. Dr. Rachel Kim's research, Park announced, his voice trembling slightly, has been not just validated, but recognized as humanity's most important scientific achievement. The quantum communication breakthrough had changed everything. The alien civilization, which called themselves the Quantum Collective, had shared technological insights that would revolutionize human understanding of science, medicine, and cosmic exploration. Global renewable energy systems could now be developed, using quantum fluctuation principles. Medical technologies could repair human cellular structures at unprecedented rates. Communication systems would transform global connectivity. Rachel's unconventional research funding, the very reason she had been fined, was now the foundation of humanity's most significant technological leap. The fine is completely rescinded, Park continued. Furthermore, Dr. Kim will receive full government support for continued research. Massive holographic displays showed quantum communication, networks being established across continents. The alien research team had provided humanity with communication technologies that transcended traditional electromagnetic limitations. Michael Lee, standing nearby, remembered the journey. From suspicious military intelligence officer to key diplomatic liaison, he had witnessed humanity's most extraordinary moment. The Quantum Collective wasn't interested in conquering. They were cosmic researchers, studying emerging civilizations. Their interest in humanity was purely scientific, watching a young species navigate its technological adolescence. "We see potential," their neural communication had explained during initial interactions. Potential, but also significant risk. The alien beings had shared comprehensive data about potential technological and environmental challenges humanity might face. Climate adaptation strategies, quantum energy development, cellular regeneration techniques. Rachel's quantum communication matrix had made this entire exchange possible. Global scientific institutions began rapid collaboration. Universities worldwide started integrating the shared technological insights. What seemed like science fiction mere months ago was now becoming technological reality. "This isn't just about technology," Rachel explained during her presentation. "This is about understanding our place in a much larger cosmic ecosystem." The spacecraft that had arrived continued orbiting Earth, not as a threat, but as a research station. Quantum exploration units continuously gathered environmental data, sharing insights with human research teams. Specialized quantum processors developed from alien technology began solving complex problems. Climate change mitigation strategies, sustainable energy solutions, medical treatments for previously incurable diseases. Judge Park approached Rachel, extending his hand. "I was wrong," he admitted publicly. "Your vision was far beyond my understanding." The moment carried profound symbolism. A judicial system acknowledging its limitations, a scientist proving that true innovation often looks like chaos before it transforms into breakthrough. Michael Lee watched the proceedings, understanding the diplomatic complexity of the moment. Humanity was no longer alone. We were now part of a larger, more complex cosmic conversation. The alien research team continued their observation, their quantum-based entities moving like living mathematical equations around Earth's atmosphere. They weren't conquerors. They were teachers, waiting to see how humanity would use these unprecedented technological gifts. Rachel's quantum communication device continued humming, a bridge between two civilizations, two completely different ways of understanding existence. "We are ready," the Quantum Collective's neural communication suggested. "Are you?" The world held its breath, standing at the precipice of its most significant transformation. Humanity's first true cosmic dialogue had begun, not with conflict, but with understanding. End of Part 5 note. The narrative maintains scientific excitement, uses accessible language, focuses on human perspective, and creates an engaging conclusion to the First Contact story. The content remains speculative, scientific, and YouTube-friendly, highlighting themes of human potential, scientific breakthrough, and cosmic understanding. Would you like me to provide any additional context or modifications to the story?